Okay guys, I'm here today with my great friend Andrew Left and Zach. Huge honor for me to have Andrew here with me today. And guys, I just finished filming my entire instruction all about submission escapes for the Jiu-Jitsu for Old Guys series. And Andrew was my old guy here in the video. He's 50 years old, purple belt Jiu-Jitsu practitioner. So the entire instructional was me teaching submission escapes with him asking the old guys questions. And today we're gonna show you guys here one of the moves we did, which was the Omoplata escape. And in this instructional, I was trying to show three options for every submission escape, either 2 or 3 options, because I'm a big believer that you shouldn't have only one option. You should have more than one option, because sometimes the option that you are trying, it's not gonna work. So you gotta try the option 2 or 3, and you always gotta see what's available for you on the table. And another thing about this instruction that I think was very interesting was my whole idea was not to just teach you the techniques, was to teach you the concepts. And the 2 main concepts of this instructional was pretty much to make you understand about awareness and about how to deconstruct the submission. What I mean with that, I'm a big believer that when you are defending one submission, you should have a lot of awareness of what's around it, because many times the way submissions works is like someone tries something, they start with a choke and they finish with an armbar. They start with Americana and they go to the armbar or something like that. So you should always have awareness of everything that can happen in order to defend the submissions. And on top of that, you should always think about what your opponent is doing on a deconstruction way. Like, you always gotta try to do the opposite of what he's doing. So let's work with the Omoplata escape here, just so you guys understand the whole picture. So can you work on that, Zach? So guys, for example, Omoplata is one of my favorite submissions, and if someone gets me in the Omoplata, I think we should always try to understand what's going on here in this scenario. So even before the Omoplata, let's just try to think on an even simpler way. Like, I always think like in the Omoplata in 3 parts. One part, if my opponent is the Omoplata set up. So he's here and he was able to hit the Omoplata on me, right? He was able to set up the Omoplata. So that's one. Second, he got the Omoplata locking. And third, he's gonna stretching my leg, stretching my shoulder to go to the submission, right? Stretching his legs. So that's the third part. So when we defend the Omoplata, we're gonna really work on phase 2 over here. In the phase where he was able to lock the Omoplata, but he hasn't stretched his leg and finished the Omoplata yet. So what are my options over here? And that's what I really focus on instruction, giving you options. My option number 1 is to roll and come up. Okay, but sometimes the option number 1 is not in the plate. It's not on the plate because he's gonna make any grip on me. And once he made that grip, I can't roll yet. So if I cannot roll, I'm gonna do a half roll. What do I mean with that? I'm gonna go a little sideways, like 90 degrees, and I'm gonna do a half roll over here. Half roll and come up, blocking his leg. Okay, so I did a half roll. The third option, when things are getting tighter, like now, he's gonna control me and he's not even gonna let me go sideways. I'm trying to go sideways here, but he's really tight on me. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna place something between me and him, which is gonna be my knee. Let's just move a little bit over here. I'm gonna place my knee here between himself and myself, okay? Once I placed my knee over there, I'm gonna start putting as much weight as possible on him, almost like a knee on belly type of situation. I have that leg stretched, I have my knee on his belly, and I'm gonna control underneath his pants. Go, 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 until I get to this point. Once I got to this point, I just have to yank my arm out, and I'm out of the Omoplata, and I can pass his guard. So why this third option works? Because I'm deconstructing what he's trying to do. When someone gets the the omoplata, his goal is to stretch his leg down and go for the submission, okay? So let's just think about that. If his goal is to stretch his leg down and come up, if I place anything between him and me, it's gonna be really hard for him to stretch that leg down. So that's what my leg is doing here. I'm going on his way. Now, as we know that he wants to stretch down, I'm gonna even make it even harder for him. So I'm gonna place this foot on the ground, putting more weight on him. Try to stretch yourself, Zach. Very hard, right? So now I'm gonna put even more weight on him. Try to stretch yourself up. You can, right? And now I have a gap here to pull my arm out and escape. So I pretty much took every goal he had in the omoplata and I did the opposite of his goals. If he wants to stretch his leg down, I'm gonna put my leg on his way. If he wants to stretch his leg down, I'm gonna lift him up. And then I'm gonna even make even more pressure and yank my arm out. So the whole instructional was all about showing 2 or 3 moves per submission to make sure that you have options on your plate. And many times the option that you want to use is not available. So you use the second option, use the third option. And also make you understand how you should always like deconstruct what your opponent is trying to do. I think just quick other example here, the Kimura escape for Zach. For example, we were talking about this Kimura attack here in the side control and how like his goal is to lift my shoulder up and keep my hand on the ground. And my goal is to do the opposite, is to keep my shoulder on the ground and lift my hand up. So that's why I would create this bridge here to make it harder for him to do that. And then this arm would come underneath and I would be able to pull my arm out. So this was just like a quick example of deconstruct what he's trying to do. So what were your thoughts, Mr. Old Guy?
Well, so obviously people talk about jiu-jitsu as human chess, and you could go as deep down a rabbit hole as anyone in any sport. But as you get older and as injuries catch up with you and athleticism becomes more difficult to maintain, it's nice to have fewer options, but still a few, so that you have a chance. And to think of jiu-jitsu in sort of more simple terms. And I think this video is very helpful.
Yeah, no,
what we've been doing has been really helpful.
And we were also talking about this idea of how psychologically it's much easier to learn something when you have 3 options than when you have 1 option. Because I believe that when you teach only one thing to someone, the person is gonna acquire that information, but it's gonna start becoming about all the ifs. Oh, but if this, if that, if this, if that, if this, if that. And when you give the person 3 options, most of the times the if is the second or the third option. So you already gave that information. So you pretty much exclude all the confusion that could be created on that person's mind. Because you deliver 1 technique, and but what if this happened? Now he's confused. But if you teach 3 techniques, what if this happens? Is this option? What if that happens? That option. So now it has a much more like solid like learning than just like I learned this technique, now I hope this works. So,
and the idea of deconstructing the actual submission also makes it easier and having less to think about when we're talking about it.
Yeah,
I know what comes next in this submission. I'm just going to do the opposite.
No, I fully agree. And I think makes jiu-jitsu very fun, because if you're able to deconstruct the submission, you can deconstruct the sweep, you can deconstruct the guard passing, you can, and then you can start training your brain to think on those terms, you know, like.
And like you said earlier, you don't have to really have specific moves in mind.
As long as you have
you're
the concepts,
deconstructing, right, with those concepts, you can just come up with the moves yourself.
Yeah. So that's exactly the goal. And your thoughts, Zach?
Yeah, I think the same. Even if there's submissions in this instructional that you want to see but they're not in here, you can just use the same principle to deconstruct it and push it back. And Yeah, it's a lot to do with weight. They want to move your arm this way. We'll put weight on this side now. Now it gives you even that split second to now you can get out or use one of the other escapes if that escape in particular is not working. So.
No, I fully agree. And for example, we were discussing here like how if we would make this instructional video, like if we would teach every single submission escape in Jiu-Jitsu, this would probably be like 200 hours of video and would be impossible to make it. So my idea was like, I don't want to teach the technique itself. I want to teach how to think. I want to teach the concept behind it. And I think like if you know how to think, you literally can build your own escapes. You can build your own sweeps, build your own guard passing, and etc. So, thanks so much, Andrew.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks, Zach. And guys, the instruction is going to be at IBJJFanatics.com very soon. So, Jiu-Jitsu for old guys, submission escapes. And I have my old guy here. He's 50 years old, purple belt. And make sure to check that out at IBJJFanatics.com. Maybe by the time you're watching, it's already there. So thanks so much, and I hope you guys enjoyed.
Get the video.
Please help me out to grow my YouTube channel. Just click subscribe. And to watch more videos, just click under see more videos. I hope you enjoyed.
BJJFanatics.com. Use the promo code YouTube Faria to get 10% off any instructional video. Improve your jiu-jitsu faster.